Morning, everyone. It's James Carpenter with Country Living. Today's topic is going to be PTSD, and I experienced PTSD probably from early childhood. Obviously, back in the 50s, they didn't have a clue what PTSD actually is, but some people are very fortunate. They grow up in a loving family where everything's sort of like just honky-dory. All right, well, my family, it was a large family, and I can understand the stress that my parents had. They had 7 children, and personally, I've raised 4 children, but they were spaced out. And even with one at a time, it was still stressful for me at times. But as far as the childhood, it was, I'm just gonna kind of sum it up. It was a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of forced labor, some physical abuse, which would be like a backhand is what I'll use for an example. And fortunately, no sexual abuse at all. I'm very fortunate for that. But coming up with that much stress, and even the stress from my own brothers and sisters, I believe that I was suffering PTSD at that point in my life. And then I joined the military and witnessed a few things in there. Actually, I just posted a video explaining that experience with the military, if you want to go back and look at that. I had a situation where when I enlisted in the Army, they made me an MP and then a correctional specialist from there. And there was an incident with the draft dodgers. They were all released. And at that point, they didn't need all these stockade guards anymore. So what they did is they started giving us different assignments, and they assigned me to the cavalry and gave me an infantry type MOS 11 Delta, which means scout. All right, everything's good. I'm still at Fort Knox, Kentucky, having no problems whatsoever. And then I came down on orders to go to Germany. So when I got to Germany, someone looked at my files, somebody in headquarters, so it was an office person, seeing that I had an MP background, spread that rumor all the way through the barracks. The barracks is roughly 200 guys. And at that point, I was labeled a narc. And that's not a good situation to be in, especially in the Army in the early to mid 70s. All right, so I got attacked in the stairwell and beaten up. And then we were in the field, and I was in the chow line, and the guy in front of me turns around, his arm goes back, and boom, he sticks a pencil in my hand, broke the lead off in it. And then there was an incident where I was on what they call CQ. It's kind of like a guard duty thing for the NCOs and officers. Someone threw a smoke grenade in a tent while I was sitting in there. And at that point in time, I thought they were doing it because of the sergeants. But the more I thought about it, it was probably because of me, and they thought I was an arc. So when the sergeant got out of his bunk, he said, "Carpenter, go out there and find the guy that did this." And I went out and I walked through one tent. When I say tent, they're called GP mediums. They can sleep up to about 20 guys. I got in that tent, got partially through it, and not everybody, but a lot of them were basically threatening me, and I made it back out of the tent pretty quick, and went out, and I'm not proud of this, but I sat down for 20 minutes, and then I went back into the NCO and officer's tent and told them I couldn't find anybody, they're all sleeping, which was a little white lie, but the alternative was to have a couple of them pop out of their bunks and beat me up some more. So I ended up basically living off post because I was married. So that segregated me from the barracks at nighttime. And then during the day, a friend of mine was the what they call the unit armorer, the guy that takes care of the weapons. So I said, hey, Buckeye, his name was Corporal Buckeye. I said, hey, I'd like to have this job when you ETS, which means get out of the Army. And he put a word in with the company commander, and the company commander selected me for that job, which was perfect because now I can secure myself in the arms room and lock myself in during regular duty hours. And with that being said, the company commander, he had come down there one time and he says, Carpenter, why is this door locked? I said, sir, who's authorized to be in the arms room? He said, the company commander, the first sergeant, the supply sergeant, and the unit armorer. And I said, that's the only ones getting in. Well, the military liked that so well that they made it a policy throughout Europe. So I started a little something there by trying to secure myself so that I wouldn't get attacked anymore. So the bottom line is, those 2 years that I was in Germany, I kept myself locked in the arms room when it was normal duty hours, or if we went to the field for training, or we went to the border for border patrol, I was always in the arms room and I was always safe. Okay, so I just got into deep thought about all that, and it probably brought back to PTSD. Anyhow, I have suffered from PTSD my entire life as far as I'm concerned. And now that we know what PTSD is, I had a rough childhood, which if you didn't experience that, consider yourself very lucky. And that situation in the military, and there was a couple other things I seen in the military that wasn't quite pleasing. And that is, whenever a tank moves around, it has to have what's called a ground guide. And we were out in the field, and the gravel was like these 1s and 2s, which are pretty good sized rocks. And there was a soldier ground guiding a track, and the driver was not paying attention. And the ground guide fell down, and the tank tracks rolled up the left side of his body about to the chest or shoulder area. Okay, the soldier was still alive until the medics got there. The medics, obviously, to transport him, the tank would have to be removed from his body. So they backed the track up, and he very quickly died after that. He probably bled out, I don't even know. Another incident I witnessed while I was in the military was back in the early 70s. The military had a thing where if two soldiers didn't get along, they had the opportunity to do what's called put the gloves on. Okay, so now we're gonna box each other. So these two guys go out behind the barracks and everybody gathers around in a big circle, and the one fella just beat the other guy so bad that he died. But overall, my experience with the military was a good thing. it was 6 years that caused me to grow up and grow up substantially. So I just want to say that it's been a little bit of a rough life, but I was still able to get good jobs, buy property, do everything you're told to do when you're young, get married, all that. I did it all, and now that I'm in my old age, I am in a comfortable spot. I know a lot of older people struggle because all they have is either that just Social Security check, which in most cases it would take almost a full Social Security check just to fill the propane tank in the wintertime. I've been blessed. I thank God for that. And with that being said, I want everybody to have a great day. Thank you for watching my videos, and we'll see you on the next one.